My needle drops. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and this is a review of Burzum Belus. Well, this is black metal icon Burzum's return to putting out music after not having released a full-length album since 1999. And before the over 10-year gap between Belus and Varg's last album, the Burzum project was growing increasingly ambient, and that was most likely a result of the jail time that Varg was serving at the time of those recordings.
Red rum, red rum, red.
Belus is a shift toward Burzum's harsher, more distorted, more metal side, and with the way people have been buzzing about this album, you would assume that Burzum releasing a new LP would be like the mighty Kraken coming up from the ground or the ocean and destroying everything. And though Belus is somewhat of an ambitious LP, it's most definitely not going to change the world of black metal, or really change how we perceive Burzum as an artist. Varg's mentality into this album, I'm thinking, was a lot like this. I have been silent musically for so long, having been in jail. Once I get out, I'm going to come out with the loudest, harshest, most distorted mofo I can possibly put together. And that's what he's done with Belus. The mix on this thing is really a to listen to. It's 90% guitar, and that guitar is 100% distorted. Almost everything is drowned out at the sacrifice of the guitar, especially the drums. I mean, the production on this LP makes albums like Philosophim look like expensive pieces of studio grandeur. That album is really heavy with keyboards. Even has this 25-minute long keyboard piece that is very ambient, very minimalist, and the keyboards on that LP is what Belus is completely devoid of, which really kind of plays into the harshness of this LP. I just cannot emphasize how hot and how distorted this mix is. It sounds like staring directly into the sun, getting a branding iron shoved into your ear, like allowing 5 people with flamethrowers to flame your head at the same time from different directions and just really, really flaming your skull. It's brimstone, it's just swelteringly hot. And though a lot of black metal is really harsh to the ears, and I like that sound, I think what we're dealing with on Belus is just a case of bad production. There's no reason the drums should sound basically non-existent. There's no reason the guitar should sound that tinny. But whatever, if you're into the sound of this LP, then you're into the sound of this LP. I basically can't argue against you in terms of that. You're gonna like what you're gonna like. In terms of a few surprises, there are a lot of clean vocals on this album, more than we'd expect from Burzum, I think, on this kind of return to his older, harsher stuff. There's a lot of narration on this LP too, but because of all the bad mixing and the burying and the distortion, it's kind of difficult to tell what's going on with that much of the time. There was quite a bit of double bass drumming and also some decent guitar playing and soloing. I was really impressed with some of the playing on this album, but what really kept me from enjoying it was, like I said, the aforementioned production. And one more thing that I want to mention. The repetition. The repetition.
Repetition. The repetition.
The repetition. Burzum is no stranger to repeating musical ideas throughout his songs. However, I think this LP is going to test that threshold for even his most hardcore fans. Tracks like Glemsellen's Elf tip the scales at 11 plus minutes and do very little to justify that song length. And the last track on the LP is so monotonous that it pretty much feels like filler. Despite that, there are 50 minutes of music on this album that I think hardcore fans are gonna enjoy, but I wouldn't even fathom recommending this album for someone who either wants to get into Burzum or just get into black metal in general. For me, it's kind of uneventful. There are some straightforward tracks on this LP that are shorter and are real winners for me, good highlights of this album, but those songs are really few and far between. Burzum is just a guy, he's just a musician, and he's just as capable of making a mediocre album as anybody else is. Now, I don't give a shit if he burned down some churches, I don't care if he murdered a guy, I really don't care if he's racist. If he comes out with an album in the future that I find interesting, I will welcome it with open arms. But until then, right now, this thing is kind of boring me. If you like this LP, you like this LP. All I'm saying is that if you have to listen to what Varg says, or read up about what Varg has done before he went to jail, or read up on why he went to jail, if you have to know all those things in order to enjoy his music, why bother? Why bother? It's just hype. That's just drama. If you like the music, then listen to the music. Who cares what he has to say? Who cares what he thinks? Who cares what he's done? Just listen to it. I'm feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this LP. Not exactly one of my favorites of this year, and clearly not one of my favorites in the black metal genre. There are a lot of bands from the old school and from today that I am digging much more than this. And I also do want to mention that this review is a 3-view, and actually you can go to Jumble Junkie Music's channel and Sir All About Music's channel and see them review this LP too. We're reviewing this album simultaneously, sort of on the same day for the lulls. Alright, their links are down below. You can also find some tracks from this LP down below in the D-Box too. Anthony Fantano, Burzum Belus, forever.